Dear students, in this session we will learn about metamorphosis in frog. In our previous sessions we learned about neurulation and we have learned about post-neural development, and after this post-neural development wherein we have learned about the early larval period changes and the late larval period changes, and lastly we learned that it will have this external gill stage, the internal gill stage and the limb bud stage. And now we will learn about what happens when this tadpole metamorphoses into an adult, what kind of changes it shows and what kind of changes it exhibits in terms of its habitat, in terms of its morphology, in terms of its physiology, and what actually triggers this process of metabolism and how hormones play an important role in the process of metamorphosis of frog. I am Dr. Lata, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, Maharani Science College for Women, Bengaluru. Now, when we talk about metamorphosis, what is metamorphosis? How do you define it? It is nothing but a post-embryonic transformation of larva into an juvenile adult. So, it is in this process that the larva gets metamorphosed into an adult. Now, the signals that bring about these metamorphic changes are usually hormonal, unlike the short-term signals that happens during embryogenesis that are typically protein growth factors. Whereas in case of metamorphosis, what happens? It is brought about by the hormones, and whatever change that it results, it will be a permanent change. Now, the synthesis of these hormones are directed by the central nervous system in response to environmental cues, and there's a complex feedback mechanism that controls their production as well, which in turn monitors this process of metamorphosis. Now, let us understand how this process of metamorphosis occurs in case of frog. Now, at the end of this late larval period, this is how our tadpole looked like. We said it has got a big head and a tail. Now, what are the changes that we expect in this tadpole? First, this removal will go from one end. We'll start with the anterior end. The removal of this tadpole jaws, because these horny jaws were developed because of his herbivore diet. Now, once this tadpole metamorphoses into an adult, the adult frog is not going to be herbivore, it will shift to a carnivore diet. As a result, this mouth with an horny teeth is not required, so that has to undergo a change. And then the cartilage and the jaws should get modified in order to adopt for a carnivore diet. And then the operculum, which is closing all the internal gills and the forelimbs, that has to be removed so that the forelimb gets exposed and it can start using its forelimb. And then the eyes should become little enlarged and it should become functional, so that the eyes should become little enlarged so that it can form a proper image and it should be fully functional. And then this constraint of this hind limb should go so that it can facilitate the hopping process on land. And the tail, it is not required because adult frog is going to be it's going to be majorly a terrestrial form, so tail is no more required for the process of swimming. Hence this tail muscle and the tail fins needs to undergo reduction. So when all these changes happens in this tadpole larva, it gets metamorphosed into an adult. Now this picture or this slide tells us the complete process of metamorphosis that happens, or the complete change that happens from the zygote till the formation of an adult frog. So here, once the egg is formed, it gets fertilized and it forms an embryo, and inside the embryo the certain development process occurs, that is for the formation of a tadpole. The initial or the early larval stage changes that we learned, that happens in the embryo. Then it hatches out, and once it hatches out, it gives rise to the a tadpole which has this suckers for addition and large gut and external gills for respiration, a small tail with a tail muzzle and the tail fins which helps in swimming. And as and when this tadpole develops, then the size of the head, the tail and the tail fins also increases as it feeds on it gets attached to this leaf or the plankton. It start feeding on that and it will be in an herbivore diet and it grows in size. And then in the next larval stages, in the late larval stages, like you have the formation of internal gills, formation of operculum, then the formation of limb, and then the forelimbs get showed up, and then the tail starts getting reabsorbed. It undergoes degeneration and then it results in the formation of complete adult. Now one thing we should notice here, when all these changes are happening, there are changes with respect to its habitat, which we call it as ecological changes. You can see lot of morphological changes happening. The changes that occurs in terms of morphology, like some will be regressive, some structures are lost, some will be a progressive change, some new structures will come, and some structures will get modified whichever is present in the tadpole, like the brain, the gut. All these structures undergo little more modification in when it get metamorphosed into an adult. And when all such morphological changes has to occur, some kind of physiological change also occurs within the body, and all these are controlled by the hormones. So now let us understand one by one what kind of change occurs and how it gets modified. So all our future discussion depends on these changes that are seen in this slide. So as I said, the changes that happens during the process of metamorphosis can be classified as the change with respect to its habitat, the morphological changes, and physiological or the biochemical changes. Now ecological changes, mainly it is the change in its habitat, wherein the tadpole will be an aquatic form and the adult frog will be a terrestrial one. And tadpole will be herbivores in its diet with horny beak and teeth which help in grasping of these plant tissues, whereas the adult frog will be carnivores feeding on insects and worms. So these are the two main ecological change that we see with respect to a tadpole and an adult. Coming to morphological changes, these morphological changes that occur during metamorphosis, it's mainly of three types. One is the regressive change, the other one is the progressive change, and the third one includes remodeling of the existing structures in the larvae. Now, when we speak about regressive change, here the organs or the structures that are necessary during larval life, they become redundant in adult as they are not used. So they undergo a kind of reduction and ultimately disappear in adults. Now, what are those structures? The resorption of tail, caudal fin, external gills and ventral suckers occurs because all this has no function in adult. Gill clefts get closed. The peribranchial cavities are lost. The horny teeth and the horny lining of the jaws are shed because it shifts from herbivore to a carnivore diet. The cloacal tube gets reduced. The lateral line system of the larva disappears because it's no more in water and it does not require these sense organs. And the aortic arches get modified due to reduced branchial arteries. Whereas the progressive change, now when this process of metamorphosis occur, new structures needs to be formed which were not there in larva altogether. So what are these positive change or the progressive change that happens? They involve the development and differentiation of forelimbs and hind limbs, the middle ear from the first pharyngeal pouch, the tympanic cartilage and the tympanic membranes are formed. Hyoid apparatus from the pharyngeal arch to support the tongue, which develops from floor of the mouth. And we know that in case of amphibians, the tongue get extended too much to catch the prey as well. and the eyes protrude on the dorsal surface of the head, developing eyelids and nictitating membrane so that the eyes become completely functional. So these are some of the progressive change that we see during the process of metamorphosis. Then remodeling of certain existing larval structures occur, and this remodel, this is pertaining to the structures which are present in the tadpole, and it is also very much required in the adult. So this mainly focuses on the change that happens in the skin, the intestine and the brain. So intestine is required both in tadpole and adult. Brain is also required in both. Skin obviously should be present in both. So these are the structures that undergo certain kind of remodeling. Now the skin thickens and it becomes multi-layered with mucus and serous glands so that it remains moist always. And skin acquires a characteristic color and pattern of pigmentation, and the outer layer becomes keratinized. The long and the coiled tube, the coiled intestine becomes shortens. The mesonephric kidney develops from the pronephric kidney. The heart becomes three-chambered and from the earlier two-chambered heart. The liver and pancreas become functional, and the brain gets highly differentiated. So these are the changes that undergo during the process of metamorphosis. So these are some of the morphological change, which includes regressive change, progressive change and remodeling of the existing larval structures. Now let us understand what are the biochemical or the physiological changes that happens during this process of metamorphosis. Firstly, this aquatic larva metamorphoses into a terrestrial adult. Therefore, the aquatic respiration gets modified into a terrestrial one. And there is a change in this change from ammonotelism, that is the tadpole is ammonotelic whereas the adult becomes ureotelic. The kidney starts excreting urea instead of ammonia, and there will the larval eye pigment, that is porphyropsin, is replaced by rhodopsin. The respiratory pigment, the larval hemoglobin, gets replaced by adult hemoglobin because the demand for more oxygen is the demand for oxygen will be more, and that will be supplied by this adult hemoglobin. And the site of erythropoiesis changes from liver to bone marrow and the spleen. Various digestive enzymes and hydrolytic enzymes are secreted to facilitate the complete process of digestion. The amoeboid macrophages by phagocytosis brings about the autolysis of larval organs like gills and tails. And there are also changes in the metabolism of this carbohydrate, lipid, nucleic acids and the nitrogen. The endocrine functioning of pancreas starts at metamorphosis for glycogenesis and is associated with increased turnover of carbohydrates. And finally, the shrinkage of body occurs because of a suspended feeding and loss of some body parts like tail and gills. As a result, degrowth or the reduction in the body mass occurs, and thereby the head and trunk become little small in adult when compared to that of a tadpole. So these are some of the physiological or the biochemical change that is observed during the process of metamorphosis. Now let us understand how the metamorphosis is under the control of hormones. The metamorphosis is completely under the control of these hormones secreted by hypothalamus, the hypophysis and the thyroid. Now here this gives you a schematic representation of how hypothalamus stimulates the pituitary to of in turn send signals to form thyroxine hormone from the thyroid gland. And this process also depends on other factors, other environmental factors, which play a very key role in the process of metamorphosis of tadpole into an adult frog. Now this thyrotropin releasing factor and the prolactin releasing inhibitor factor of hypothalamus and the thyroid stimulating hormone and prolactin hormone of hypophysis, it regulates the secretion of thyroid hormone such as thyroxine from the thyroid gland. So it is this thyroxine which causes the degeneration and necrosis of some cells or tissues and organs in the larva, and it stimulates the growth and differentiation of organs needed in the adult frog. And through several experiments, it is learned that the iodine is an essential component of this thyroxine hormone, and it has been found that it alone can cause metamorphosis in frogs' larvae. Now this slide tells you like how the process of hormonal control happens in case of during the process of metamorphosis. During early stage, since the brain is not fully differentiated, whatever the prolactin secreted by the pituitary, that guides the differentiation of organs, and that delays a kind of metamorphosis. Later, as and when the brain differentiates, the corticotrophin stimulating hormone from the hypothalamus that triggers the pituitary to send signals for thyroid for the production of thyroid stimulating hormone, and this in turn the pituitary gland releases this TSH, and this in turn acts on the thyroid stimulating hormone to release T3, T4 and T3, which cause metamorphosis to happen. So it is this T3 and T4 which promotes metamorphosis, and when this is happening, there should also be a suppressed levels of prolactin to takes place. And then as and when this process of metamorphosis occur, it sends a positive feedback that yes, all these changes are happening and more hormones may be secreted, and hence the hormones get secreted, stimulated to secrete these hormones, and the process of metamorphosis takes place. And the environmental cues like the temperature, the nutrition and light plays a very important role during this process of metamorphosis. Now, if you look in detail about the hormonal control of metamorphosis, metamorphosis can be divided into three main phases. One is so this process of metamorphosis can be studied under three phases. One is the pre-metamorphosis, wherein the brain is not yet differentiated fully. So it is the pituitary that secretes this prolactin, and this prolactin guides the growth of the larva. And then in the next phase, that is pro-metamorphosis, the brain gets fully differentiated. This hypothalamus secretes this TSH releasing factor, that in turn triggers the pituitary to release TSH, and this thyroid stimulating hormone tells the thyroid to form T3 and T4, which in turn initiate the process of metamorphosis. Now when this is happening, the hypothalamus also secretes this prolactin inhibitor, that is the dopamine, because it is the prolactin that prevents the process, or it delays the process of metamorphosis. So that has to be counter acted. So in order to inhibit the effect of prolactin, the hypothalamus secretes the dopamine. Thereby its effect will be nullified, and the thyroid hormones, the T3 and the T4, that initiate the process of metamorphosis. And when this process of metamorphosis is happening, there is a positive feedback given by the T3 and T4 to pituitary in order to secrete more and more TSH, so that all the metamorphic change should proceed without any break. And then the last stage is the metamorphic climax. Now, when all these metamorphic changes, the morphological change, regressive, progressive, and the remodeling of structures, everything is done, then what should be the scenario that has reached a climax? climax of metamorphosis. Now when it has reached the climax, what should happen to these hormonal systems? Now there is no required to produce more and more TSH, and also there is no requirement of T3 and T4. As a result, it gives a negative feedback to the thyroid to stop the secretion of T3 and T4, and it also sends signal to the hypothalamus in order to stop the production of thyroid stimulating hormone releasing factor, which in turn tells pituitary to stop the production of TSH, which in turn tells thyroid not to produce T3 and T4. So this happens only when the complete process of metamorphosis happens, and if once it is all complete. So at this stage it is called as metamorphic climax. So this is how hormones play a very important role in controlling this process of metamorphosis. Now this is a slide that just gives you a difference between or the changes that happens in the larva and the adult with respect to certain aspects. Like for example, if you consider locomotion, in case of larva it is aquatic, so it moves through tail fins. In case of adult it is on terrestrial and it is a tailless tetrapod. Respiration in case of larva is by gills, skin, lungs and the larval hemoglobins, whereas in case of adult it is the skin and the lungs and the adult hemoglobins have been formed. And with respect to circulatory system, you see that in larva it is the aortic arches, the aorta, the anterior, posterior and common jugular veins, but whereas in case of adult you find the carotid arch, the systemic arch and the cardinal veins. With respect to nutrition, the larva is herbivores. As a result, it has got long spiral gut and it will have some intestinal symbionts and small mouth, horny jaws and labial teeth. Whereas in case of adult, it is carnivores. It has got short gut. It secretes more enzymes like proteases, large mouth with long tongue. In case of nervous system, larvae lack a nictitating membrane, porphyropsin, lateral line system and motor neurons, whereas the development of ocular muscles, nictitating membrane, tympanic membrane, rhodopsin, lateral line system gets lost in case of adult, and the motor neurons also. So these motor neurons are nothing but they are the neurons that are found on the hindbrain of fish and amphibians, and they are responsible for this very fast escape reflex that you see. You might have seen even the fish in an aquarium, when you tap it just moves very swiftly. Same with that of the frog also, and that kind of quick escape reflex comes because of this motor neurons which are present in the tadpole and which degenerate in case of adult. And when we look into the excretory structures, in case of larva it is largely ammonia and ammonotelic, and the adults become ureotelic. And integument in case of larva is thin and bilayered epidermis with thin dermis, and you don't find any kind of glands there. Whereas in case of adult, the skin becomes little thick and it contains lot of mucus and the granular glands which secretes antimicrobial peptides. So this gives you a contrast between the larva and the adult. So these are the reference books from which the content has been taken. Here are a few questions for you. The post-embryonic transformation of larva of an organism into a juvenile adult is called option B, metamorphosis. Resorption of long tail, caudal fin, external gills and ventral suckers represent what kind of change? The regressive change. So the right option is option B. And the change that represents remodeling of the structures during metamorphosis is closure of gill clefts, eyes with eyelids, pigmentation and keratinization of skin, or none. The correct option is pigmentation and keratinization of skin. Then physiological changes during metamorphosis of frog is represented by all the above, because all these changes occurs or all these changes denote the physiological change during metamorphosis. Role of thyroxine during metamorphosis is it helps in degeneration and necrosis of some cells, and at the same time it stimulates the growth and differentiation of organs also. So the right option here is option C. So I hope you all understood this process of metamorphosis and how it's controlled. So you should be thorough with the morphological change, the biochemical change, and the hormonal control of metamorphosis, which come as a 10 marker question. So I hope you all understood this concept well. Thank you for listening. Any kind of queries or clarification, you can email to me at vlatadamodaran@gmail.com. Thank you.